Hey everyone! Today we are going to be diving in one of the most beautiful pieces of video game music ever written. It's one of my all-time favorite RPGs, Planescape Torment, and the beautiful soundtrack is composed by Mark Morgan. The track that we are going to be exploring today is Fall from Grace. By the end of this video, I hope to show you why this isn't just a simply beautiful music, but one that perfectly captures the central philosophy of one of the gaming's greatest stories. And for this one, I have to talk about the importance of the scene in the game where this music is playing, and what it represents within the story of Planescape Torment. First of all, the brothel of slaking intellectual lusts is run by Fall from Grace, and it is deeply influenced by the philosophy of Society of Sensations. The central question of Planescape Torment is the infamous
"What can change the nature of a man?"
And in the game, as the Nameless One, we encounter many factions that represent different philosophies and different outlooks of the world. The philosophy of Sensates is, knowledge isn't something that's found in the books or scripture, it can only be lived. Fall from Grace believes that only by opening your fullest experience to the universe with honesty and grace, you can begin to understand both the world and your place in it. And I think this idea is embodied in the music in a beautiful way. As much as this track accompanies one of the most interesting and unexpected places in the RPG gaming, it also embodies everything that Fall from Grace represents. Fall from Grace is full of contradictions but also self-transcendence. She is a succubus who rejects seduction, she's a demon who seeks wisdom, she's a cleric who serves no god, she's a brothel owner but celibate, she's a creature literally born of evil and chaos, but who also chooses compassion and discipline. And the musical choices, the harmony, the texture, the melody, everything about the music represent these contradictions and her self-determination in a beautiful way. Alright, let's dive into musical analysis. So the first thing that we are hit with, this beautiful descending arpeggio or ostinato, however you want to look at it. And it's played in this sparkly, mysterious, intriguing keyboard tone. The music is obviously centered around G minor tonality. And the arpeggio starts on this high G and ends on A. And this A note, which is the major ninth of G, already gives us a sound that is so much detached from a clear major or minor tonality. It feels open and it feels floating. The major ninth used in a beautiful way throughout the piece. You can hear it in the arpeggios, in the melody, in the subtle strings in the background, in some counter melodies later in the piece. And it feels austere, it feels floating. And I kind of feel like it represents this open-mindedness and curiosity towards everything that life brings, which is the central philosophy of Fall from Grace. Because players play as the Nameless One, and Nameless One carries weight of countless life that he used to live, and he's constantly in suffering. But Grace's tragedy is more intimate. As a child, she's sold as a slave by her own mother to demons, and she spends years in captivity. And she finds her escape not through violence and rage, but she endured, she adapted, and ultimately won her freedom through intellect and composure. And when she was finally free, she made a deliberate choice not to become what her nature or others expected of her, but to define herself on her own terms. And that is the central question of this game.
What can change the nature of a man?
And for Grace, it was choice. Alright, let's dive into some deep music theory here, because there are lots of different interesting layers and textures even in the first 8 bars of the music. I encourage you to listen to these bass notes that play underneath the arpeggio. So I think the placement of these bass notes are very deliberate. They are probably played in cello or basses, and we are obviously in 4/4 rhythm, but these two notes, they deliberately placed in the second and the third beat of the measure. And this avoidance of first beat in the bass is deliberate because, first of all, it leaves so much space for this arpeggio to be heard and really breathe, but also it gives a slightly unnatural, open-ended rhythmic flow to what could otherwise be a very grounded 4/4 feel. And the note choices are brilliant as well. Rather than establishing a strong tonal center in G, Mark Morgan makes sure that the bass ostinato resolves around D, the fifth above G, which is the dominant tone. The dominant tone naturally feels more open-ended, more questioning, more curious. And after this 8-bar intro, we are introduced to the melody, which is played in oboe. me select my oboe tone here. So these first four notes are D, C, F, and D. And he's intentionally, again, avoiding the minor third, which is B flat, or the minor sixth, which would be the E flat, since those tones would immediately push us to a darker, more established minor tonality. He's deliberately avoiding that. And once again, he ends the phrase on this D, the dominant tone, more open-ended, more questioning. In the second turnaround of the melody, let's listen to it here. Here. So this time around, even though we are introduced to B flat, the way that its approach is just brilliant because it's still open-ended, still floating, rather than having a clear tonal statement. And the implied harmony is beautiful because it approaches the B flat through F, C, and then B flat. And when you take these three notes and construct them as a chord, we can say that this is a B flat suspended second chord. And this chord naturally has a suspended sound and it is unstable and on the move. And then he finalizes the melody with C, A, B flat, and F, still always choosing the rest on the tones that are away from that clear minor or major tonality. And let's listen to the rest of the music here. The rest of the music is sustaining on this drone-like nature, and it's continuing that ever-searching, ever-questioning feeling. We hear some subtle counter melodies, like this piano here. This is A, B flat, C, and then drops back to D. Again, ends on a D note, the dominant tone. D, E flat, F, and then ends on an A, the major ninth, at the second turnaround. And we also hear that final oboe phrase once again, this time starting on D, descending to an A, and making a minor sixth leap to an F. Something like this, and it hangs in the air with that F note, unresolved, still questioning, still open-ended. So all of these musical choices, of course by design and deliberately crafted by the composer. And the recurring idea here is to reflect the central philosophy of Sensates and basically fall from grace. And that idea is opening your mind and heart to all of the experiences that life unfolds and presenting yourself to the universe with a never-ending curiosity and childlike wonder. Something that I feel like, and this is never explicitly mentioned in the text of the game, so this is purely my interpretation, but I can't help but see the echoes of Nietzschean idea of three metamorphoses. Nietzsche famously describes spirit transforming into three stages in life. First, we start as a camel, carrying the weight of inherent values, and then we became a lion, where we reject those values and revolt and resist, and then finally, if we are wise enough, we transition to a child. Not as innocence, but as creation itself. We become a spirit that's capable of saying yes to whatever life unfolds, with openness and curiosity and freedom to create our own values. And in many ways, Fall from Grace in the game reached that final stage. Having rejected both the expectations of her own kind and suffering imposed on her, she instead chose to approach the world through compassion and an endless curiosity toward life itself. So, I hope you enjoyed this beautiful piece of music as much as I do. Planescape Torment is one of my all-time favorite RPGs, and alongside with its beautiful writing, it also has an amazing soundtrack full of deep and interesting music pieces like this one. And if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to check out both the game and the soundtrack. I hope this video inspires you in some way, and if you enjoyed it, please consider giving me a subscribe. And I hope I see you in the next one. Take care.